¿Cómo estás? Muy bien. ¿Y tú?
Si Italiano pizza,
I thought you were going to give me some
pepperoni
French.
pizza.
Thank you
That's
for that,
right. I've been
Italian.
learning.
That was
They're
amazing.
they they're
Hello,
right on
Dell.
the border. I'm back again. Hello. I'm glad to be brought back again before the tribunal.
Yes, we teleported you in. It's amazing what technology can do. You and
At
James
your own
Dean.
cost.
Of course.
That's right.
You and James Dean. Oh, we can talk about James Dean's later and him making a comeback in movies. But right now, let's stick to topic. We're doing a little pilot pass. Today's pilot pass is on a little show called Dimension 404. Dell, what is 404 about?
Well, I recommended this one, and honestly, I recommended it after only seeing 2 episodes. The first just got me. I realized it was an anthological series. I love those. I'm big on like True Detective. I think you are too. Twilight Zone, Outer
Oh, I
Limits.
thought you said
Um,
anthropology, like it was like shows about animals. Okay, I was wrong. I'm ready. Go for
no,
it.
I said anthropraxology, the
Mm.
show about killing everything with anthrax. Poorly named. I love anthologies, and one of the most recent ones is Black Mirror, and so this caught me off guard. I grabbed it from Hulu randomly one night, and it was like a light, fun, goofy Black Mirror episode. It was Twilight Zone and Outer Limits, but made fun and kind of harmless and silly. I've never seen a comedic version of that type of anthology, sci-fi, mythological show before, and yeah, it grabbed me. I was laughing all the way through, and then it had a pretty good ending.
That is a pretty good description of the show itself. The main character is a fellow and a woman who are dealing with love. A very specific way that they deal with love. And each turn, because there were several turns in this show,
Oh yes,
in this episode.
I counted 5 myself, where I went, damn it, great, good. In the same ways in last episode when we talked about Russian Doll, how I talked about the end, then I was like, I kind of don't want to give everything away because this whole thing is just like, I don't know what to do with all this. Same way, there were 5 turns where I was just like, what? Great. Keep telling me the story because I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, every time it got a little stale. Never got stale, but when it got a little bit there, switch the story on you.
Yeah.
So the creators of Dimension 404 was created by a group called Rocket Jump. They are a production company co-founded by the gamer and VX artist Freddie Wong. He is best known for the the web series, Video Game High School. I'm sure you've seen all those episodes. Am I
I've
correct?
heard it. Yeah, I've watched this too. Yeah, it was good.
So that's the creator, and the way that they put it together, I think, was very interesting. Like you said, it's a little bit Twilight Zone, but it's like a happy Twilight Zone, I would say.
It is. One of the biggest things after watching at least 3 of the episodes is I went online and there was a subreddit for it. And everybody in the subreddit hated it. They were all like, this is Twilight Zone for kids. And I took umbrage at that because I was like, exactly, it's Twilight Zone for kids. It's the same reason I like Goosebumps as a kid, but I can still enjoy it now. And I don't think it has to be riveting or deep. It's a fun version of Black Mirror. It's an enjoyable version. But here's what I'll say. Honestly, better than I think Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, and even Black Mirror have done. Instead of just getting to the end of something at like a conundrum and tossing up your shoulders and going, huh, wasn't that weird? I don't know. At least the 3 episodes I've seen of Dimension 404, they actually kind of answer it. Yeah, this is okay, this isn't okay, or, it's a little more formulaic to begin with, but at the end, like, they really do make a moral judgment, where the other shows kind of like up in the air, like, ooh, isn't that weird? I got to kind of say, I respect that about the show. It is very simplistic and funny and comedic versions, but I think that's also the point, is to subvert the trope. So they, at least the 3 episodes I saw, they have a good message at the end.
There's a lot of depression in those other shows that you listed, so I'm going to go a little bit differently. Nobody gives this show a shout out anymore, but I think there was a little bit of eerie Indiana in this show. You get a little bit of weirdness, but it's also still made for kids, and that's okay. And it's fun, and it's not,
Yeah.
make you want to jump off a building. like some of the Black Mirror episodes.
You know what's funny is what I disliked about Erie, Indiana as a kid is I was just beginning to watch Twin Peaks, and I didn't like Twin Peaks. But Erie, Indiana wasn't as good as Twin Peaks, and I didn't like Twin Peaks.
Right.
So I shot Erie, Indiana, down at its kneecaps, I always felt. I didn't ever start watching it until, I don't know, only about maybe 10 years ago. I was in my 30s. And what a good show. I get how people could be like, that's too childlike. But I'm also like, I'm a almost 40-year-old man. I get why this would be awesome if I was a kid. Why did I miss this?
It was. It only had like a 10-episode run, but man, it was a joy to watch.
It was fun. I watched it with my daughter, and she was a little bored because there were some dead things and murder, and she loves horror. But she does like the sci-fi and traveling aspects. And we watched together, and Kara loved it.
So that is the show, Dimension 404. We've given you a broad overview. So let's actually dive into the show, shall we? So let's start first. Something that I found fascinating. This is one of those shows that you go, oh, that guy. There's so many guys in this show.
I think they're hired for that reason. That's got to be my guess. Is like they have a limited budget, right? Like most anthology shows. You get people that are excited about it. That's how they got for like the second episode, Patton Oswalt. That's got to be the reason those things work well together. People like doing camp, and camp hires people that can't afford to do better, but like doing camp.
It's not unlike Southland Tales when he hired all these SNL cast members. It's kind of the same thing. You go,
exactly.
Oh, so I have this feeling for them, or, I have this idea, and it works. And it kind of gives you a area to start with. Like Joel McHale. He's obviously not that guy, but
right.
He still kind of is. He's in a box office like Deadpool. What's his name?
Ryan Reynolds.
Thank you.
Is that the guy? Wait,
yes.
Is that the guy I'm thinking of?
Yes.
Okay, because I was thinking of the guy that did Green Lantern, and I can never remember the difference between the two of them, but except there was years between the two of them. Yeah, Joel McHale, that was something that I somehow, and I don't know how you're doing this to me, and I'm going to lay this blame on you. This is the second recent pilot pass we've done where somehow I have not caught the credits at the beginning, because when Joel McHale showed up, just like when you said Amy Poehler in the last episode,
right.
You were like, oh, she did some of the writing, or writing on all the episodes. I somehow missed Joel McHale. And when he showed up, I was like physically clapping and happy in my bed. I'm like, oh, good, Joel McHale, he's great in everything he does. And he was great as being like the God figure. What do they call him, Maker?
The Maker, yes.
So the show's called, so his name is Maker, is obviously got the God thing, and very funny. But like, I love seeing him in anything. So glad how much did they have to pay him? Or again, I think he's probably C-level. Can we afford Joel McHale?
Oh, I think so for a
honestly,
day. He'd come and be sarcastic as.
I think we could do a half day. We could get Joel McHale to Dallas, Texas for a half day, right?
Oh, I definitely think so. The guy from Breaking Bad, the drug friend.
Oh,
First
Badger.
Time he showed up, I was like, oh, hey, look at that.
I still refuse to remember his name, just like Stifler. Haven't played Stifler in the American Pie movies.
William Scott.
Yes, love him. He's great. I can't remember his name, and I won't. But Badger. Yeah, it was fun to just see him with his rough voice. And my favorite line in the show was when, I guess spoilers at this part, I thought about the whole first episode, when he gets him the third time right before the recycling tube, and he's just like, God damn it, Badger, or whatever the character's name is, God damn it, Roger. That made me laugh so hard.
Oh, if we're going to do that,
actually,
okay, I love this.
I roll off the couch because I was like, that was such a great delivery of that line.
I believe Joel McHale delivered the line, cows don't go back to being better, they just go to steaks. Chew on that. Oh,
yeah.
Priceless.
I love it because it was so high-minded, lowbrowed, and also, like, that's the fun of, like, eat steak.
Exactly.
For whatever reason, my brain noticed this. He gives them a steak and broccoli. Normally he gives steak and potatoes.
Sure.
Broccoli kind of looks like a brain. It's green. It's very cerebral, I guess. Did somebody actually go, you know what, let's swap out potatoes, a big mushy mash, for broccoli?
I hope so.
Not, because here's the thing is, maybe that's just me. I was like, that seems disgusting. A giant steak with broccoli? No, thank you, sir. And maybe that's the way you're supposed to read it.
I've got broccoli in the oven right now, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Karis is hype, but so what were we talking about? Sorry, dude.
Chew on that. Joel McHale delivering the broccoli and the steak. That was pretty good. I hope it was like a brain. I hope somebody was on
I
top of
probably
that.
put way much more into it than I needed to, but like seriously, they showed the steak and broccoli, and I went, gross. It should be steak and potatoes. Maybe that's what this crazy Black Mirror world is. But again, I also laughed at it, and I was like, great delivery.
Would you
Now,
call
can we
this a
talk about
love
the
story?
commercials?
Oh, we'll get to the
You know what?
commercials.
Good. Because I'm
Bill
looking forward to
Phoenix.
that.
Yes.
No, I would not call this a love story. In fact, I would call it, I don't know how to describe it, even though there's been millions of films like this, self-discovery story. Obviously, by the end, each character is having their own. Both Adam and the girl that was paid to have him cloned. They both come across each other again, but each is happy to go their own way, but still see the other exist. And I think obviously you're supposed to imply that they want to get back together. That's why they cut it before it happens. Because if they don't, that's okay too. I thought it was a very mature ending.
I thought it was like a resolution. That. Most relationships, you don't get resolutions. One person or the other person goes their own way. But I thought that was really interesting that they got to have that last moment together. Closure, as it were.
I thought that too, because that's the point. Is it could be seen as being equal. You know, they're both just passing, and it could be seen as one likes the other or one likes the other. So it could be seen as asymmetrical. But then, even if they're both asymmetrical, I think that kind of writes up the big beauty of it is both people felt comfortable with who they were. I mean, there's a clone, there's a real person who paid for them, but I like the fact that they were happy to see each other, happy to break apart, and they didn't expect anything from each other. And it was a really mature, almost professional relationship. But you could tell they definitely wanted to see each other again, or at least the looks implied that. And I thought that was a little more mature than some of the things I see from like Outer Limits or Twilight Zone, where they just kind of shrug their shoulders and go, that's the ending. Isn't that weird? Hey. I thought this show took the time to add on a little bit of an epilogue. And it was like, no, here it isn't just weird. Like, here's how that benefits people. You can be confident in yourself and who you are, and maybe you're made to please somebody else, but you still have your own traits, and other people are going to like that about you. I thought it was a mature ending to a fun, silly version of normally, depressing shows that I love. I appreciated the fact they took an anthology that's supposed to beat you down and be like, there's not only could it be happy and funny all throughout, and still get the emotional energy, but also at the end go, we're going to take time to say, here is a lesson. Here's Aesop's Fables. Here's a donkey talk and tell you. Get it. And again, I've already watched a few of the episodes, so I can say the second episode kind of follows in the same trait. It's a baby boomer forced to watch a 3D movie, and he complains a lot.
Don't we know some people like that?
Where you have a villain, and it turns out it's funny.
All right, let's move on and talk about the music in the show. Do you remember the name of the song that was repeated over and over and over again?
No, I don't, and it actually irritated me because I tried to look it up, and I got to start twice at work.
I want to feel it again. But I do remember the musical
themes. Right, the one where there were two major musical pieces, right? There was the part before they kiss, and there's the part that you're right, with I Want to Be Here Again. That's when it slows down when they first kiss in front of the apartment.
But that's also the song that they hear when they're in the jail.
Yeah, it plays later.
Yeah.
I do remember liking that scene, like visually, when they first kiss outside the apartment, and because everything slows down like Zack Snyder. But then there was the leaves, and then the snow, and then the billowing wind, and everything kept going from the upper right as they pulled back. I was like, great final shot. And that was another thing that kept pissing me off about this is I keep going, great last shot, and then we'd come back from commercials. I'd be like, there's more story to tell?
Do you have a favorite Adam? There's about 5 versions of him. Do you have a favorite one?
You know what? Probably Drummer Adam, only because when they pan to that last shot at the end, and it shows that he's in a band, I'm like, well, at least I knew who did what.
Adam and the Adams.
I don't know who did what, but I know Drummer Adam was Drummer Adam. Like, that was probably why I liked him. But I like the Buff Adam. I like Nerdy Adam. You know what? And here's an Adam that doesn't get enough respect. Adam Six, the real one. buttery gel cup of goo under a blanket.
I
Terrifying,
really
but yet
yes,
terrifying, but yet
that was very terrifying.
he played that part. So good job.
I wish that I could say that I was not like the stalker lover, but I'm going to be honest with you. That's kind of my MO. So when you told her that I loved her, I was like, oh, yeah, that'd have been me.
Yeah, I got to admit, I'm weird enough. I'm probably agree on that one.
Definitely would have been stalker
What
lover.
do you want? What do you want from me, people that listen to this? We're only human. We're only men.
Where do you stand on the Pixies? For me, my answer is eh.
See, my answer is greatness when they're great. But I'd say 40% of their stuff you could go out on and be totally fine. As a Pixies fan, I don't think you need to listen to every song they've ever made or recorded. So there you go. And they've made some great songs, but I would say yes if you're a rock and roll or a human with 2 ears and a heart. There's only about like 3 songs, maybe 4 or 5 songs you should listen to because they're absolutely great. But yeah, I thought that was fun because Pixies were the go-to band for like fun emo rock and roll people that everyone knows are fun go-to emo rock and roll people. It's kind of like being like, I like The Cure. Well, yeah, you like The Cure. Obviously, you like The Cure. You like Pixies. So I laughed at that part.
There's a lot of Pixie talk that I was very indifferent to. Was there part of the story? What was your favorite part of the story? I know you talked a lot about how you really enjoyed the ending, but since we said there's several different redirects of the story itself, did you have a favorite?
And the pivots were my favorite. And I'll say, if you watch episode 2, there's pivot. I'm starting to think the 5 pivot maybe what makes this a little bit different than like the 3 or 4 pivot from the more classic shows. Because they definitely try to add 1 or 2 more in every episode. I think my favorite one with this, only because I thought it was destined to fail, was when Mark 5 goes back out as Mark 6 after they've established him cleaning the windows from the inside. So like, oh, they can observe this. They can see their future versions being used and then they're not being used. So they establish that, and then, there's a little bit of time where you really think, oh, this is the Mark 6, Adam 6. And they're like, oh, no, it is Adam 5. And you really believe he's going to get out of there. He's going to break the Matrix. He's going to be the hero. And then he doesn't even get out of the restaurant. And then, of course, Badger, with his the Badger electric stick, gets him again for the second time.
Takes him down.
I was like, well, this is where I'm just like, I'm sold. Like, I thought he was going to sneak his way out of that. No, brought me down. And, of course, the last time when Badger gets him, that's where I was like, is the Badger guy, I wish I could remember his name. He's going to go destroy himself at one point, and Badger's like, don't do that, man. Let's have a beer. And he still shoots him in the neck.
So, like, puts him down.
The comedic 3-point was set up. I mean, that was just funny, 3 in a row. But then they also used that to twist it a little bit. So it was more clever than I thought, and I wasn't expecting much.
I liked the revolt, and I tell you why. Because I've been doing a lot of background work being here in Albuquerque, and them running through the ward, that looked like so much fun to shoot.
Well, and I will say this, what I loved once he was in the Matchmaker facility, we're totally talking THX 1138, right? That is just straight, like, what was the HBO show with the prison? Oz. That was just THX 1138. With everybody fighting all in white against the people with clubs and spoons. And now, again, the joke, one guy's have riot gear, and the other side has their trays and plastics, sporks, not even spoons or knives, sporks. And then they pair them up cinematically against each other, left to right. And I woke Kat up with that laugh, and she got mad at me for it. She said it wasn't that funny. I tried to explain it to her. But
it was definitely that funny.
It was that funny. It was that funny.
So
it was better shot than a lot of prison girls I've seen, like in real films. And it was a comedy, and I laughed during that part while going, "Holy shit! This is terrible." I can appreciate that.
My question to you now is: we've been through an episode. You've watched a few episodes. Would you recommend Dimension 404 to the people?
Yes, I got to say, if you're the type of person that does like the obvious anthological series, like Outer Limits and stuff we discussed, Twilight Zone, something. Yes, because it is a lighthearted version of it. It's not as serious, but they also, I think, put a lot more work into it as a satire of the genre. So yeah, and if you're a person who doesn't like that type of show, I would say this may be a good introduction to that type of show because it's silly and over the top and funny, but it also really does nail the tropes that if you learn to watch a couple of episodes of this, you're going to get why other people like The Twilight Zone or Outer Limits or Nightmare or something like that. So yeah, I would say this is a good introduction. Again, as an anthology, it's hard to nail down a pilot since there's no real storyline or story arc. But I guess it's not episodic, like all Family Matters or something like that. But as an anthological series, yeah, I think they put the right one forward. I think this is a good introduction to the whimsicalness, silliness, but yet also really good sci-fi, mildly horror, mildly terrifying of an anthological sci-fi series. I think it's good. And I think there's some good humor. I think it's funny and probably a little bit more for kids. They could get them introduced to some of the, more adult stuff.
I think one of the words that we have not used that I think is appropriate for it is this is not as cynical as those other movies or those other shows. Those other shows, there's such a cynical bent to them where this is a softer, and I guess that's why you can say it's for children, but adults, it's okay not to always be watching The Wire or something just dead and demented and just not happy for yourself. So that's why I really like the show, and I would definitely recommend it to others. I
think that's a good point. You know what? It kind of reminds me of, I think you're absolutely 100% right, and I wish I had thought of that before you did and said it, because then I could claim credit for it. But I didn't. I will hate you for that. But it's the same reason I still can read Goosebumps or Wayside Stories to my girl, when she goes to bed at night. There's something fun to be said for it. It doesn't have to always be terrifying and adult and over the top. It could also, or cynical, I think you're right, is the perfect word. Sometimes things are just weird and enjoyable, or things just happen and they can be for the right reasons. They don't always have to be for cynical, evil reasons. And you're right. I don't think in this show, at least in the pilot, maybe other than Maker, Joel McHale's character, who maybe gets a bit lost, ethically. Other than him, yeah, I think everything else is perfectly acceptable. And honestly, it's kind of like Goosebumps. I loved Goosebumps as a kid. They terrified me. I read Stephen King as a kid, terrified me. Read them as an adult, and I'm like, well, these are just fun. But
speaking of fun,
I like the inverse.
Speaking of fun, I think we've had fun.
They're fun. It's accessible.
We've had fun with the first 2 pilot passes. We're going to leave the people with something to tell them about Dimension 404. But before we do that, I just need to say that we really have to watch something next time that we both hate, that we just loathe, that we're just like, why in the world was this made? Because the people know we need to be cynical sometimes as well.
Do we know it? Is it the Undercover? Let's hear it. I'm a little worried. I'm a little scared. What is it?
I think we should watch 911. We didn't do that last time.
You brought this up in the first episode?
Yes.
And look, I'm telling you, I don't know if I have the heart. I don't know if I have the guts. I don't know if I have the gullet for... Because here's the thing I've learned since the last episode. Karis, my daughter, has been watching it, and she loves it.
Perfect.
And it looks absolutely goddamn terrible.
It is so bad.
From what I've seen when I walk in her room. So yes, let's do that. I can't wait to hate it.
Perfect. Any final words on Dimension 404 before we leave the people?
Say it again?
Any final words about Dimension 404 for the people?
You know what? I really, to the creators, keep doing it. Give me another season. This came out, 2-3 years ago? It hasn't been renewed. Renew this. It's like Erie, Indiana. Again, I miss remember when Disney could be evil, like with Pinocchio and the turning in the donkeys, and remember when Maleficent, not Maleficent the movie, but there was the evil queen, there was Fantasia. Can we please get more kids movies with scariness, terror, and horror in them? And if we could also do it as a fun anthological series about sci-fi, gimme. I want someone to watch with my daughter, but also like I want to watch a fun version where I don't want to go to bed depressed. I can watch a Black Mirror episode. I could finish up with a Dimension 404, and then not want to hurt other humans.
You know, you say scary movies for kids. I'm going to tell you a personal story right now. When I watched E.T., scared me so much I peed in my pants. That's my story for the day.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
I watched E.T. as a kid, and I didn't get it. And here's what I mean. I literally didn't get it. I was like, so where's he from? It's like he's another planet. And I was like, from like another country? That's so dumb. I literally didn't get that he was an alien from another planet the entire movie. I was like, so he's an animal from another country like Harry Henderson's? Second time I watched it as a teenager, I was like, oh, boy, I was a goddamn moron. But yeah, the first I thought it was an animal from another country when I watched it as a kid.
Good job, superstar. Dimension 404.
We'll use that and embarrass
me. So I think that we both say watch it. Check it out.
Well, I was about to say, so pilot pass, fail. I think I'd say for me, pass. Right? Let's keep it official for you.
Yeah, pass.
All right. So keep watching some episodes, and maybe we'll come back to it.
Till the next time, what do you have to say for yourself, Del?
Tittle the next time. And quit tittling the next time so much.
I thought for sure you were going to give me a knock-knock joke.
Well, knock-knock.
Who is there?
Stop tittling the knock-knock jokes.